Leader. Turning back into Nancy Alejandro from Baltimore. Very tough, very concerned about the direction of this country. Take a listen to how she described the way Barr performed when he was testifying on Capitol Hill.
Madam Speaker, did the Attorney General commit a crime?
He lied to Congress. He lied to Congress. If anybody else did that, it would be considered a crime. Nobody is above the law, not the President of the United States and not the Attorney General. Being the Attorney General does not give you a bath to go say whatever you want, and it is the fact because you are the Attorney General.
So, Mike, I love that Nancy Pelosi just told the truth right there. Didn't say, well, we've had some people there.
Right.
Well, you know, she said he lied. He did lie. He lied to Congress. We've got at least one solid example of it that any of us would be thrown in jail.
Correct.
For perjury. We'd all be in jail, right? He may have lied to Chris Van Hollen. It just depends on how a grand jury would look at that. But we would still all be sent at least to a grand jury for saying what he said to Chris Van Hollen. On a matter of the utmost public importance, the undermining of the Justice Department's purpose for selecting a special counsel, in the words of Robert Mueller himself. So he has committed perjury, and I personally believe they should start looking into impeachment, an impeachment inquiry, if the rule of law means anything at all. But I'm watching these pathetic hacks on the right, some of whom used to have respectable careers. They've turned themselves into nothing more than Trump enablers, talking about how what Barr did was. You look at him lying before Congress and match up what these pathetic hacks are saying about Barr's lying and what they said about Bill Clinton's lying in 1998 and 1999. And suddenly, they're sounding an awful lot like the man who said, it depends on what your meaning of is. They are engaging in legalistic, semantic games, the likes of which William F. Buckley attacked Bill Clinton supporters for doing in 1998.
Well, you know, there's a couple of things going on here, Joe, that are of interest. One is we've been talking about it now for over 2 years. How is it that so many people with past qualifications, past examples of character and leadership, check all of that at the door and go into just total succumbing to Donald Trump? It's a mystery as to how many people who know they will be tainted by Trump, by their association with him, just dive into the tank for him. The other aspect of it is unwittingly, or wittingly, but probably unwittingly, what Bill Barr has done and what the White House has done, what Emmett Flood did yesterday with the release of a letter which was a political document more so than it was a legal document, is that they keep this story going. They keep it going. There's going to be more hearings. There's going to be months of hearings. Instead of just sitting back and saying, okay, the thing is over, and responding with candid truth, the Attorney General chose to, as you indicated, and as many have indicated, as Nancy Pelosi just indicated, he lied repeatedly. Yeah. And he's going to keep this story going. I mean, this story is not going to go away for a long time now.
Well, I actually think she's laid down a marker. Adrienne and Susan, both rapid fire real quick. What's next for Democrats when the Speaker of the House says he lied and that's a crime? I mean, that seems to be a marker. How to move forward.
But what are they going
Adrienne.
to do? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Adrienne.
No, look, I think she's made it very clear, Mika, based on her comments yesterday, what the path forward is. And we'll see if impeachment actually does take place. At the very least, there should be some sort of censure resolution. But, you know, if you take politics out of the equation and you look at Congress's job, which is to exercise oversight authority over the administration, it makes the path forward much more clear. And if there are not any repercussions based on the way the Trump administration has handled a litany of issues, especially AG Barr going in front of the committee yesterday or this week and lying, then what are we going to do? I mean, it's going to set a precedent for future leaders and future administration officials that, hey, we can get away with anything, and there's not going to be any sort of repercussion.
Well, and just to
Susan.
follow up on that is, what are you going to do today, Speaker Pelosi? Because
Right.
that's where we are. We're at a point where empty chairs and fried chicken is not going to cut it. And as Adrian said, you take away politics, you have a constitutional responsibility. Move forward with the impeachment hearings now to show Donald Trump that you are not going to be rolled over. That is where she is, because eventually they're going to have to get to some form of hearing. Bring in Mueller, start the hearings, get it wrapped up, and have a vote by the Senate by the end of the year, and then you can focus on 2020. Because this drip, 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 and no strong action is, I think, really hurting their case.
Mika, I don't see how Speaker Pelosi can do anything but proceed to impeachment. She doesn't say things
Correct.
lightly. She doesn't throw out casual statements like that. And credit to Casey Hunt for asking a direct question. Nancy Pelosi thought about it and said a crime was committed. If the Speaker of the House is saying that, that doesn't leave you much wiggle room going forward.
That was a big marker.
And, you know, I can
Yeah.
find you at least 24 Republicans saying during Bill Clinton's impeachment that he is the top law enforcement officer in the land, and we cannot allow the top law enforcement officer in the land to commit perjury. I agreed. But I'll tell you what's even more serious. When you have the Attorney General,
Oh, my God. Yep.
the top lawyer in the land, who is responsible for deciding who the federal government is going to indict and who they're not going to indict, who they're going to investigate, who they're not going to investigate. He lied,
Correct.
not to a grand jury, but to a co-equal branch of government. I can think of few things that would undermine the credibility of the Attorney General and the Justice Department for which he works than committing perjury in front of Americans while testifying to a co-equal branch of government. It's as bad as lying before the United States Supreme Court. I got to say again, a lot of Democrats didn't like hearing me say this. I think you need to take a pass on impeaching Donald Trump. I think at this point it's now a political battle between the legislative branch and the executive branch. Fight that out. Let the voters decide. In this case, Mika, I don't think the House has any choice. They have to impeach an attorney general who was caught on tape in front of the American people on April 9th lying under oath to Congress, committing perjury, which, yes, even in the age of Trump, is still a crime.
So mark my words, Nancy Pelosi laid down a marker yesterday that this